Basically, that one came around like when, once again, like when we started, we knew that we had to address the main battles, right? Like the big battles in the American Revolution. So we didn't want to repeat the same thing either, because like that's our main goal as mission designers, is to add variety. So it sort of fit in the AC brand to say, well, how would the assassin, like what would the assassin do on a battlefield? Like he's not going to be fighting the war. Like that's not his role. Like he's not there to win for the Americans. He's there to fight for his own goals. So what would he do? Well, he would use the battle as a smokescreen. Like he would just run through that thing and nobody would care, in a sense. Nobody would see him because they're busy fighting each other. So we wanted to sort of like play with that in a sense. Like when we started the Assassin's brand, we always had action stealth in mind. And like what's more action stealth than running through a battlefield? Other people are unaware of your presence. So that was our main trigger. It was an interesting one because when we started the project, we have like our studio in Singapore are the ones who worked on Sea Battles and made all the tech for it, and they came up with this crazy idea that yes, we could have a huge moving platform with like 50 characters on it, and that you can control, and it would be physics driven. Like everybody, like we were like, there's no way that's going to happen. And they went off and they did like some prototypes, and when we saw the prototypes, like the prototypes were actually really cool. We started playing them. I was like, yep, this is a game. This is fun. Like we can make an entire game out of this. So all right, we'll continue working on it, polish this, and we'll see where it goes. And like very, very quickly, they got like the water simulation in there as well as the boat moving along with it. It's like, all right, I think we got something. And then when we started reading into it, well, we realized that naval warfare was like such a big part of the American Revolution that it sort of fit in with the story. So it was like, yeah, it's a perfect fit. So all right, let's go ahead and create X amount of missions in there and see where we can fit these in. No, like it sort of didn't fit this time around because like tower defense is really more about like control. And in this case, like Connor's not about control. Connor's about freedom. He's about like liberty of choice. He wants to save his village, so just tower defense didn't fit. Like the Rome upgrade system, like investing in your city didn't fit as well. So there's just a lot of things that were good ideas for Assassin's Brotherhood, Revelations, just didn't fit for Assassin's Creed 3. For us, like you mentioned Frontier, like in the past we never could interact with organic terrain or organics in general. Like we had an in-house rule where if it was architecture, you could climb it. If it was organic, so like rocks and trees, you weren't allowed to interact with it. And so we obviously had to change that when we decided we're going to have an entire world area that is just trees and rocks. So that one it gives us like movement abilities that we didn't have in the past. So before, like you could just jump between buildings, and like the fact that we did work on tree running and forest climbing sort of helped us out when we made the cities as well, because colonial cities are much more spread out than Rome or Venice. So we can actually use like trees to gap between buildings and things like that, and also the capacity to sort of like hide in vegetation. So in a sense, the organics sort of play as your stealth tool when you're in the forest. Yeah, it's interesting. We always try and choose time periods that are interesting moments or periods of conflict in human history, and like where you had turning points. Because the American Revolution wasn't only important for Americans; like it changed our world dynamics. It's when like Britain, in a sense, like they couldn't colonize like that much anymore. Like we became independent countries, and so the concept of like conquering land from that point on sort of stopped existing. Like you just stayed where you were. So it was a very interesting time period, and especially being a Native American as your main character. Like it gave us an interesting viewpoint on like a third person's perspective on this American Revolution. Like you're not British, you're not American, you're not colonial. You actually are like Native American. You're seeing this in this conflict, and it's like it's people fighting for land that is not theirs. It's your land in a sense. So it was really interesting to sort of delve into that.
You're kind of outsider to the conflict, but then you are drawn in because the cheese smugglers.
Yeah. Even though it's your home.
Yeah.
The police or the military of the era. Yeah. It was we vary in the game. Like you alternate between like the colonials are also enemies. So because once again, like we didn't want Connor to be fighting for the Americans like Connor is like he fights for his own cause. He fights for his village, the continuation of his people and his culture. So he'll actually alternate between both sides, and that's something that we really wanted to hit on. I mean, I have to go with naval. I'm not a very stealthy player. I tend to like brash action and explosions, and I think a lot of us are. So naval sort of fits that in a sense, because like I love AC. I love playing through and like immersing myself in the world, but it's just sort of fun to take yourself out of that. I'm being careful. I'm being sneaky. I'm just blowing everything up. I like having that transfer moment. I don't know. For me, I mean, AC is it's 3 years work. We've done a lot. Like I've done a lot of ACs in the past, and like you always feel that you're doing a better job, but like it's always more of the same in a sense. And for me, this one, like AC3, was really, I think, is much different in nature than the ones in the past. And I think it's like it should be really cool. Like I hope people will enjoy the 3 years sweat and blood that we went through to get this thing out.